Defense officials and industry leaders from around the world are in Halifax at the Halifax International Security Forum. Now, they're there as Canada has promised to reach its NATO target of spending 2% of GDP on national defense. That's going to happen this year, and the promise to hit 5% by 2035. So what do our allies think about all of those revised targets? I spoke with Latvian Defense Minister Andris Spruds earlier today. Hi, Minister. Welcome to Power Play. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to start with the proposed peace deal for Ukraine, or the plan at least. What are your concerns about we are reportedly seeing on the table right now?
Well, what we see, it's unofficial. And of course, the principles remain the same for us, namely that the peace must be justified and just. It must be sustainable, and it must be peace which is being agreed upon by Ukraine and also by European countries. So it's not just the peace which can be agreed by Russia. So the peace settlement, of course, has much wider consequences. And first of all, Ukrainians decide on a just peace settlement.
But are you at all concerned by some of the proposals we're seeing in there? And I want to center in on one of them here, one of them that Ukraine would give up its aspirations to join NATO, and it would also force NATO to agree not to station troops in Ukraine. Are those acceptable in your mind?
Well, what is acceptable for us and what's acceptable for Ukrainian side is that territorial integrity must be complied with, it must be observed. It is absolutely the holy principle of international relations, of international system which is based on rules and norms. It is important that Ukraine remains country with sovereign decisions. So it's for NATO to decide, of course, to take Ukraine now or later. It's a formula which exists already within NATO when conditions allow and allies agree. But it's for Ukrainian side to have sovereign decision on what way to go, what kind of associations, what kind of membership it wants to be part of, what it aspires for. So sovereignty, territorial integrity, the size of its domestic decisions on army are absolutely the prerogative of Ukrainian people.
But how concerned are you about that issue of them having to renounce any kind of membership to NATO? Because you in the past have said it will happen sooner or later. And a lot of people in the region have seen their membership in NATO as being key to try and ensure peace in the region.
The key is, first of all, a strong Ukrainian army, armed forces of Ukraine, and Latvia and also the allies in the Baltic region and widely also in NATO will do everything to support Ukraine and to make strong Ukrainian armed forces. But yes, the membership of NATO, the membership of EU is important for Ukraine to be on security side, to be guaranteed also by its partners, and we will be supporting it. But yes, at the very end, it is also the decision by the NATO members, by NATO allies, to agree what and how it will be implemented. So that's why for us, again, sovereign decision of Ukrainian side is prerogative, it's a privilege, it's absolutely the right for Ukraine to decide what and how it goes.
I completely understand why it is Ukraine's decision, but how much of a loss to the region could it be, or would it possibly be, if they were not allowed to be in NATO?
Well, Ukrainian army now is one of the strongest armies in Europe, and it has proven that it's able and it has a determination to fight for its independence, to fight for democracy, to fight for European and generally democratic values and freedoms, to fight for the rules-based international order, and that's why it is important that Ukraine remains the sovereign right to choose its path towards different memberships. As I said, of course, those organizations may decide in a due time, so how it is being implemented, but for Ukraine there must be the right and privilege to go in that direction. So it would be, I think, the loss if we are somehow deciding to preclude Ukraine from the sovereign decision to move towards organization, which actually would be made stronger by the membership of Ukraine.
The whole issue around defense spending has been a contentious one within NATO. Your country spends right now 3.73% of your total GDP on national defense. And this year, your government announced that you're going to increase that to 4.91% next year. Canada just hit the 2% target this year, and the plan is for Canada to hit 5% in 2035. What is your message to NATO members like Canada at this time when defense spending has seemingly never been more important, and at the same time the threat is ever present?
Latvia takes it very seriously. We realize the importance of investing in our defense. The less we invest now, the more of the costs will be in the future. So the more we invest now, the more secure it will be in the future. So that's why investment must be done right now. Latvia is doing it. This year, almost 4%, as you mentioned. Next year, it will be almost 5%. And in 2027, we aspire to reach 5% for the core defense spending. And we realize that, of course, we need to invest in our capabilities, we need to invest in our human resources, in our people, but we need to invest also in a host nation status. And here I also come to Canada. Canada is doing a great job in being a leading nation in Latvia in a multinational brigade. More than 2,000 Canadian soldiers are stationed in Latvia. We treat them and we believe and perceive them as their own family. So absolutely we realize that Canada is doing a good contribution. But yes, at the same time, of course, we encourage every nation to contribute to NATO because it is about collective defense. It is about collective deterrence. So investment by all nations is very crucial. We can do it in different ways, but also financial investments show the will, show determination, show the understanding, and exactly provide opportunity for building up a strong, efficient capability. So that's why, yes, we encourage, but we highly appreciate what Canada is doing, and we are also happy that every nation in NATO this year will reach 2%. So we have done with the first commitment, we have succeeded, but of course next commitments are on the table and we have to achieve them. The sooner the better.
How much sooner would you like to see Canada hit 5% in terms of that target?
Well, it's of course for Canada to decide what is the timetable and what are specific steps forward. We fully realize that it is important, of course, the timetable is the next decade in general. Again, once more, we encourage and underline the importance of doing it as soon as possible. But every nation also, of course, has its specific domestic circumstances, also the capabilities and traditions within army. So there is diversity, and we must respect also this diversity. But we are one for all for one alliance. So the benefit of one nation would also serve benefit to other nations. So we are mutually interconnected in our security aspirations. So here, yes, the sooner we reach all 3.5% for core defense, plus 1.5% for security or defense-related issues, the more secure we will be in a world which is not just about Russia, but in a world which is generally much more insecure, unstable, and there are a number of revisionist countries what we are facing and what we have to be ready for.
I guess I'll just phrase it this way.
To protect our people.
I'll just phrase it this way, though. How urgent is the need to scale up that spending as quickly as possible before that target of 5% is supposed to be in a decade, in 2035? I mean, if your country is trying to reach 5% next year, how quickly do you want to see everybody else scale up? Because in 10 years, a lot can change, obviously.
So the sooner the better. So yes, you mentioned about the next decade or by 2035, but the real contribution, real commitment, real investment must be done in coming 2, 3, 4 years. Sometimes we have those assessments that Russia might be ready to challenge NATO in 3, 4, 5 years' time. I always say, look, I mean, Russia is not a gentleman. We will not agree on some specific date. We must be ready to fight tonight. So that's why the sooner we invest today, the more ready we'll be also ready to fight tonight if necessary. And the more ready we are to fight tonight or tomorrow, the more we are capable actually to show very strong signal of deterrence. It is the insurance police, it is the insurance activity, which actually provides deterrence and very much deter Russia from even thinking about somehow challenging NATO collective defense alliance.
Minister, I appreciate your time and thanks for joining us. Minister of Defense for Latvia, Andris Spruds, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.